This podcast of the Tailgate Society is sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company. When Rob and Christy Taylor started following the Kentucky Bourbon Trail in 2012, they fell in love with not only bourbon, but the entire distilling process. So they opened Revelton Distillery, where they offer a family of products including vodka, gin, whiskey, and Revelton Shine. Come visit the tasting room at 1400 West Clay Street in Osceola, Iowa, or pick some up at your local Hy-Vee or Fairway grocery store.
This podcast contains material that is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all listeners. Enjoy.
Would you like to sample some of my nuts?
I don't want to get on the bandwagon. I'll burn that wagon down and join the band. Traveling troubadours, terrorizing street corners just to try to get some supper in our hands. Now I waited all my life to get this off my chest, scream bloody murder until someone understands that it ain't about the money, the drugs, or the women. I make this noise just because I can, and we'll all join in to that original sin. So let's get rowdy and reckless. Let's get rowdy and reckless. Let's get rowdy and reckless. Just for the hell of it. Just for the hell of it.
Marcus Fizer putting on a show again. Fizer run the court to Stevie. Underneath Fizer, there's the dunk. And a bad pass. Axel threw it away. Fizer's going to dribble the ball. Still going to dribble the ball. Now he's going to take it inside and score. Fizer in traffic, takes it in and stops it over Mim. Oh, what a move by Marcus Fizer. He drove in and absolutely tomahawked it over Chris Mim. The outlet pass, and look who it is, Fizer. 265 pounds, and he runs the floor with ease. Going to bring Stevie Johnson out high for a screen. He'll not go back to it. Fizer fouled by Hill. What a chance for a three-point play. The same position down low, and the powerful finish.
With the fourth pick in the 2000 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Marcus Fizer from Iowa State University.
Hello, and welcome back to yet another edition of Old Man Strength, a podcast of the Tailgate Society, and brought to you by Revelton Distilling Company in Osceola, Iowa. Please go ahead and check them out. Chris, what is that address again? 1400 West Clay Street. Is that correct?
Osceola. Yep.
Absolutely. So please go ahead and check out Revelton Distilling Company. I am Tim Johnson, joined as always by Chris Shipley. Chris, how are we doing this evening?
Better than I was 2 weeks ago. I'll tell you a funny story. My father-in-law listened to the first ever episode of the podcast.
Oh, yeah?
It happened to be the one that I dropped about 20 F-bombs on.
Good.
He told Stacy that he knew what to get me for Christmas. He was going to get me a new dictionary and have all the F words taken out of it.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, man, it's been this month has been maybe it's because February went by so quick. March feels like it's been taking forever. So I'm ready for real spring to come here and to actually get into things. But with that said, I don't want March to get over just yet, as we are in the height of March Madness. And with that, we want to welcome back to the podcast Marcus Fizer. Marcus, welcome back to Old Man Strength.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys having me. Fun time.
We thought March Madness, who better to bring on than the expert?
Yeah, this March Madness this year has been one of the funnest ones I've seen in a while. When I was playing in the March Madness, it wasn't fun at all. It was all concentration and focus, but I've really enjoyed this year more than any. Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
That's right. Is it because you think that with last year and COVID, there was no crowds or whatever else, and then the previous year it got canceled, that it's just been it's like we're kind of back to normal?
It could be a little bit of that. You know, the guys are definitely, and the gals are definitely taking the opportunity that they have now and really getting after it. You know, it's been a lot of really fun games. You know, I mean, our men sitting as the 11th seed, and a lot of people thinking, you know, well, we're such a low seed or high seed. I forget how you do that, but you know, they've played extremely well, and it shows to you how fun March Madness can be. You know, the guys from St. Peter's can show you how fun the tournament can be, and you know, I've enjoyed every single game. Like just trying to figure out which one I'm gonna watch, recording them, falling asleep at night watching them. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know, I read something earlier today that this is one of the highest average seeds for the Sweet 16, so it's been kind of fun to see. Something like the average seed for the is like 5.3 or something like that, which is, you know, pretty high when you consider. But when you look at the number of double-digit seeds that have made it to the Sweet 16, and the fact that at least one double-digit seed is going to be going to the Elite Eight, it really kind of epitomizes what this time of year is all about, and this year even more so, I think.
Yeah, I know a double digit seed that, you know, I'm going to pull hopes for be that one that goes to the Elite Eight. You know, with that being said, you know, I think, you know, as the season progressed, a lot of the good teams, you know, run into a lot of roadblocks or bumps in the road and things like that. You know, as we know, and we feel the Big 12 is the toughest and the strongest basketball conference in the nation. And our guys started off, you know, extremely hot in the beginning. And once you get to the Big 12, that prepares you for this time. And as you can see, you know, TJ has definitely gotten them focused, locked in. And I mean, they're playing some great defense. You know, the defense that they've been playing here recently in these last 2 or 3 games have been phenomenal, and you know that's the thing that has propelled us into Sweet 16.
Haven't seen defense played like this, I think, in a long time since Floyd and Eustachy years. And you know, it's been kind of refreshing. It reminds me a lot of Coach Floyd's team that he had Willoughby and Bankhead and Pratt and that group. And I said there for a while when we were struggling in the Big 12, I really think that if we can make that tournament, I think we can make some headway because you're going to match up differently with some teams that aren't used to that style of defense and that intense pressure all the time. And I think it's proven itself. And I think we have a good shot against Miami. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was at the gas station the other day because we're there so frequently now. And I had on Iowa State, my Iowa State sweatshirt, and it was a guy. I was actually in the restroom, coming out of the restroom, and he was at the gas register. And so, like the Spider-Man meme that everyone see that they're pointing at each other, we pointed at each other. And I said, okay, we'll see you this weekend. And he said, you better believe it. So, you know, it felt good to be out in Vegas and just have 2 random guys who have on their university paraphernalia and the excitement and everything that comes within March Madness. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, no knock on the pros and anything like that, but college basketball was the last time that I literally had fun. I enjoyed moments and things like that in the pros, but college basketball was the last time that I actually had fun. I remember when we beat Kansas that one year at the Hilton Coliseum, and you know, Coach Roy Williams was trying to congratulate me, and I mean, first of all, he's already shorter than me, but I just paid no attention to who it was, and you know, and I think when I realized it was him, I said, "What's up, Roy?" And I put my hand on top of his head like he was like a little kid or whatever. But I was just so excited, you know, because it wasn't anything about politics, it wasn't anything about money. Like we were just kids that were enjoying playing basketball, and that was the focus. And once you get to the pros, all that political stuff gets into it. You have guys making so much money here and there, and that be the focus. So college basketball was the last time that I really, really enjoyed playing basketball, and you can see the guys doing the same thing now.
Yeah, you know, I hear some people like to make a criticism that a single elimination tournament isn't the best way to pick a champion, and that's certainly fair. But boy, is it a lot of fun because those games just mean
Hmm.
so much. They
Correct.
just really mean so much, and you can see it in those kids' faces at the end of the game, win or lose. Just how much that means. It's not just another game. This is a win or go home scenario, and boy, those kids really play their heart out.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It can go both ways for either team. So you definitely have to come with your A game without a doubt. It gives each team the opportunity to have that great game. You really can't prepare for a team that quick, that early, and it's an advantage for both teams. You see the way Miami was able to knock off Auburn, and a lot of people had them winning the national championship. So it's a lot of fun. The cylinders can be firing on all cylinders where everything goes, extremely well for the team. You have the goosebumps and everything is rolling, and you can come out victorious. I love coming home and or turning on the TV, or Marcus Jr. open up his phone to ESPN app or something like that, and you're like, wow, so and so and so and so is up by 20. It's like, but at the same time, it could be 10 minutes left in the game, and before you know it, they walk that down, and they get it into overtime. I was pulling for TCU against Arizona. That was a great game to watch that. I just felt like they just ran out of steam in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's another team that I think some people have criticized the committee's decision to take teams like Iowa State, like TCU, that didn't have a winning conference record. But boy, really showed that they deserve to be there. Really showed
Yeah.
just how tough the Big 12 really truly is, but B, how for people to have that as a criteria is kind of silly. When you have to go and get beat up by Texas Tech and Kansas and Baylor
Right.
and
Right.
Texas and Oklahoma, and and there's so many good teams in that in
You can
that
just say
conference.
everybody but Kansas State. You can just say
But I mean, they've had some strong teams in the
Yeah.
in the previous years as well. Because I had no fun going into Kansas State, and I mean we had success down there since my freshman year. But still, man, Kansas State was always a tough place to play. I didn't enjoy going to Kansas State more than it seemed easier to play in Kansas to me. Kansas State, they had some tough players, and they did not make it easy for me at all.
So I think what fascinates me is you have Selection Sunday, and then it's maybe 3 days, and then you got to start preparing for that game on Thursday and
Yep.
whatever, which leads to, I think, a lot of upsets and some parity and whatever. Tell me what goes on that second week leading up to the Sweet 16. You've made that first round. What are you guys preparing for now for that Sweet 16 game? Obviously you're looking at film and whatever, but now you've got a little longer of a stretch sometimes, I think, depending on when your last game was and when you made that tournament run to your next game. You've got more time to wait. What's that like? What are you looking at? What are you guys preparing for there?
Well, of course, you're anxious, but it all depends on the program and the coach, because Larry Eustachy, same tree as Coach Tim Floyd. They weren't. We didn't tone down anything.
Mhm.
The exact same way we practice, the exact same way we prepare, the exact same way we were focused, the exact same way up until we lost to Michigan State. We were even focused of going past that game. So the breakdown may be a little different in terms of now we know exactly who we're preparing for, and it gives you a better chance that first game than the second one, because the second game you don't know until you win or the other team win who advances. But of course, with your scouts, the people that's bringing down the tape for both teams, they try to do whatever they can to prepare us better for that second game. But for us, it was pretty much the same that it had been all year. They did a great job in not letting us, not focus on the task at hand. We, went to school and took care of the classes and everything like we were supposed to. We got after each other in practice. the exact same way we normally have, and we just prepare for whoever that next team was going to be.
Yeah, I think one thing that has been really interesting to see is a lot of these matchups. I think people think they have it pegged, right? So you look at that Iowa State Wisconsin game. You've got this tough defense, but maybe not, the hottest offensive team in the tournament in Iowa State. In Wisconsin, that, lowest turnover rate in the country, doesn't turn the ball over. I think even even given a bit of time to prepare for Iowa State, I don't know that Wisconsin really knew what team they were getting, and I think certainly that short turnaround helped. And I think all the scouting I read on Miami, I didn't necessarily see that same scouting come true when they were playing Auburn. So some of that just has to be a lot of in-game adjustments.
Right. It definitely comes down to coaching, and it comes down to the players. Having a great point guard that can recognize the defensive scheme to get you in the best defensive schemes to adjust in the game is always key and always paramount. We've had some great point guards, Jamal Tinsley, Monte Morris, and on down the line. To have those type of guys to recognize, because it starts with them on the offensive and defensive end, and just adjusting accordingly. From that, any given night is going to be ups and downs, but you have your strategy and your game plan that you want to go a certain way, but you never know what's going to happen. Look how they double team and triple team Kofi Coburn from Illinois. As dominant as he is, that night, it just wasn't working because he really couldn't get off like he normally would. So being able to adjust on the fly, have great coaching, is always definitely a positive for that team coming out victorious.
So going into this weekend's game, we've had George Conant's dad on a couple of times. He's a good friend of the pod. And George is really, I think I can speak for Tim. Tim and I have kind of a special place in our heart for George because he's went through a lot there. He's been there all 4 years. What kind of advice are you giving George if he was to ask you about some of the mentality that he should take into this Sweet 16 game?
Well, George has been solid. Stay solid. As solid as he's been for the last 4 years. He and me and his father, we talk a lot. We communicate a lot on social media, on Twitter and things like that. And I give him a lot of words and things like that. But he needs to just stay as solid as he's been. Be that anchor that he's been defensively. When we get him in spots where he can create and give us some offensive boost, that's always great. But with his length and his athleticism, he's been anchoring everything down low, and just remain focused on that. Whatever that role is, whatever we need for that time and that moment, is win or go home. If you come on with no skin on your kneecaps, on your elbows, then that's just what it has to be in order to live the next day. So just basically it. Stay as solid as you've been, be that rim protector that you've been, and continue to be the bruiser down low. I got a soft spot in my heart for the bigs.
Well, that's why I was hoping that you'd give him some advice. I'd go down and just hammer somebody right off the bat. shows some kind of domination. That's what I was looking for.
When you get to this level, the competition is so much high. It's almost like, man, I got a dunk. I remember a couple of dunks I had down in Kansas where I went into the game thinking, man, these guys are big. They're going to beat me up. And then I got a couple of dunks like, wow, I happened to slip that one in because the competition is so big and so high. Like when it happened, it doesn't happen often. I mean, I'm not Kevin Cato where you just tower over everybody and just slam it over top of everybody. There was a few dunks where I got in at Kansas where I was like, wow, I can't believe I got that one in.
Well, so with that, George, going into the Sweet 16 with what he's gone through. I mean, you can somewhat relate because your first couple years we didn't have a whole lot of success, right? There'd been a Sweet 16 just before you got there,
Right.
but then a couple of years that were certainly not the lows that George has seen. But what
Right.
does it mean for someone who's gone through some tough seasons to get to a Sweet 16? What is that feeling even like? I can't even put it into words.
It feels amazing. You know, it feels like all of the pain and the anguishes you went through, and I mean, I didn't go through the pain and anguish that they went through last year. To get over that hump, to get that monkey off your back, and to, you know, all the naysayers, and you know, we went into the Big 12 tournament and didn't have success there, which you know normally we feel so good about that tournament. To get past that, to get into the NCAA tournament, have an 11 seed, and you know people doubting you and everything like that, and then you get into that tournament and you work and you win, and you work and you win, and to have that success to get to the Sweet 16, where a lot of teams that people thought that was going deep are back at home, and now you get to make that trip again. He's going home to Chicago. You know, it's in Chicago, and he gets to play, you know, at home in Chicago in the Sweet 16, and that's something that's, you know, humongous for the fact of being able to make it to that level. You know, not a lot of teams are there. There's only 16 left. After this is going to be 8, and then you know we're going to continue to chop it down. So to be there, to have that accomplishment, he's going to get, you know, get that banner hung, Sweet 16. And not a lot of teams do that. So I know that feels really good to him.
Yeah. So I'll take a turn here real quick because I did throw it out there that you were going to be on tonight, and I had some people just kind of reach out and ask some questions. You said you were talking earlier about having a lot of fun or whatever, and a couple dunks. So somebody asked me, "Hey, well, what was in your mind when you made that baseline dunk on Mims? And does he still consider you to be his dad?"
Chris is a good friend of mine. We known each other before we went to college, and just unfortunately we had to go up against each other 3 years in college. But mainly just, you know, scoring the basketball. At that moment, during that stretch, I was so locked in offensively that it just felt like, you know, no disrespect to anybody. I mean, I just felt like I couldn't be stopped. You know, I never said that I was the best shooter or this or that and this, but like I've always said, you know, I was always a scorer. If they allowed me to kick the ball in the hoop, I was going to find a way to kick it in. But you know, just at that moment, I thought I had such a break on him that he wasn't going to jump and contest. My vertical leap is a lot higher than what a lot of people ever knew or assumed. I was always a power jumper, so when he jumped, I just knew it kind of like was that boost that boosted me up over him a little bit more. And unfortunately, he caught the sad end of the stick with that. But yeah, I just thought once I had the baseline open, he was just going to allow me to go ahead and dunk it. But you know, unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and the rest is history.
What was your toughest
Chris, my
game?
guy.
What's that?
But Chris, my guy, though, I don't hold any ill will against him for anything.
You still talk to a lot of the old guys that you used to play with and that you played against?
Yeah, you know, we communicate via social media and everything like that. You know, guys change their phone numbers a lot. You know, a lot of people always ask me, you know, man, you got Jamal's cell phone numbers? Like, I had it at once upon a time, and now I got to reach out to him via social media because he changes his number a lot too. But yeah, you know, like me and Eddie Curry, we were talking yesterday. We share funny memes back and forth on Instagram or Twitter and stuff, and just laugh, talk about how the family and the kids are doing now. We all have kids that are grown now. When we played, you know, first couple of years in the pros or in college and stuff like that, these kids weren't even around, or they were babies, and now they're grown. So we talk about those different situations and stuff like that, and what's going on in the world, and just, you know, just grateful and thankful to be here amongst the living, and everyone is doing well.
Amen to that.
A friend of mine on Twitter decided to start a series of posts going through great college basketball players by position over the years. And it was really kind of a trip down memory lane, but it was also really just kind of scary to me to think about all of these guys that it's now their kids that are playing in college right now, because it still doesn't feel like that long ago. But
it doesn't. It does not. Like, it goes by so fast. I mean, I'm 43 now. Like I just said, Eddie Curry, he's 39. And when I first met him in Chicago, he was 16 and 17 in Chicago high schools. That he was one of the up and coming players, and we would go and see him play and stuff in the high school because we know he was going to be a high draft pick, and we were terrible in Chicago, so the chances of selecting him was going to be high for us. But to think like we got him and Tyson Chandler when they were 18 years old, and now they're 39. Like 20 years go by so fast. But we feel like a lot of the time that we play ball, we didn't embrace it as much as we should, because you always feel like you're going to be forever young. And now we're on the Old Man Strength podcast, being old and laughing at the fact that, man, these years went by so fast. And Eddie said that yesterday. It was like, man, his oldest son, I think, is 18 and 19 years old, and he's like, man, he wasn't even born when we first started this. And Marcus Jr., he came when he was born in 03. And when we used to work out and train with Tim Grover in Chicago, he was a baby, dribbling the ball on the court and stuff like that. Now he's 18 years old and 6'5". I remember when he was, not even a foot tall. Now he's 6'5", and you think like, my God, the time went by so fast.
Yeah, my daughter is getting ready to graduate from Iowa State. She's 22 years old, so I totally it's surreal to how fast it's gone, and it doesn't seem like it was that long ago that you and Jamal and you guys were all playing and things like that. But that it just kind of rolls through the years and just kind of starts building and building.
So as you think back to 20 plus years ago to watching the tournament now, what do you think is maybe the biggest change in the NCAA tournament now compared to back then?
I think more so than anything, with social media and everything getting a lot more rampant, your fan base is bigger. The reach of understanding and being able to see. You have avenues of, I don't have to watch the game at home. I can watch the game on my phone, away from home, via ESPN or Hulu or whatever the case may be, or whatever your cable provider is. So the fan base is a lot higher. More and more people are tuning in and rooting for their schools. It's now the younger generation, like our kids and things like that, they're paying more attention to it and getting into watching colleges because they want to have those same aspirations and dreams. So now they're talking to their parents about it. So now it's more of a family-based thing of being able to watch it and see everything that's going on. And it's been exciting.
CBS Sports tweeted out yesterday, pick your best possible all-time March Madness starting five from your favorite team.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your starting five?
Ooh, my
We'll put you on the spot, Marcus. Let's point guards number one.
Point guards number one. I got to be biased. I got to take my guy Jamal Tinsley. I wouldn't have the career that I had without him. I mean, whatever talent that you want to consider me as, he definitely propelled it to the next level. I never met a point guard so good. A guy who religiously hit me in the mouth with the ball. He made me get ready for it. Like early on when we first started practicing, it's like, this is about to be something special, because he was just that floor general. So I got to go with Jamal.
That's a hard, that I think is probably the hardest position. You look at Jamal, you look at Tyrese Halliburton, you look at Tyrese Hunter, Monte Morris, even Curtis Stinson was a hell of a player.
Yeah.
So that I think that's probably the hardest position, shooting guard.
Jeff Hornacek, even going back all the way back to Jeff Hornacek.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a lot of great point guards playing for Iowa State in Sweet 16.
Yeah. Shooting guard, that's a tough one as well. But I never got a chance to play with them in college, obviously, but I played with them in the pros, and that's definitely the mayor, Fred Hoiberg. Fred was a lot better shooter than what a lot of people thought or knew if he was playing in this area where they just, hey, go out there and shoot 43 pointers. He probably averaged 30, and he was really, really tough. Of course, coming from Ames High and playing in Ames at Iowa State, playing football and all of that, Fred was really, really tough, and I'd definitely take him at the 2.
Small forward.
Oh, small forward.
This is fun. You get to watch Marcus
Definitely
Sweat.
fun. This is definitely fun. Small forward to me. I don't know if George played the 3, but I think he definitely had the skill to play the 3. He maybe played more of the 4 at Iowa State, but I think he plays a lot of 3 in the pros.
I had him at the 3. That's where
they used me. They used me and him as 3 in the pros. Offensively, skill wise, we loved it. Garden 3s in the pros, we definitely, it was something we don't look forward to. So I'll slide George in at the 3 there.
All right. Well, we don't have to do the 4. We know who that is.
Who do you think the 4 is?
It's got to be you.
No, the 4 is going to be Royce.
Oh,
really?
That's interesting. I mean, if you're not going to pick yourself, I think Royce is a great pick for that 4. I mean, what he did in the tournament in particular, that's really when he's shown more than any bit. I mean, he dominated some games of the season, but what he did in the tournament is probably some of the most memorable.
Without a doubt. People go back and forth about the greatest of all time, Iowa State and all that different stuff. And, when you ask me about teams and players and, putting them on teams and stuff like that, I think it's kind of, you want to choose yourself. It's kind of like choosing yourself for an all-star game or something like that. But for me, being a fan, I love watching him play. I even reached out to his mom when he was at Iowa State. And I told him, he reminds me of a better version of me. He does all of the things that I wish I can do. At the time that I was in school, that wasn't really a position that they allow you to do all that different stuff. A lot of the ball handling and stuff like that, the passing and everything like that, he made me, wanted to be a better player even when I was still playing pro basketball. But he definitely, without a doubt, my favorite player in Iowa State history is Royce White, without a doubt.
Wow,
yeah.
Who's your center?
Oh, center. He's always been a guy that they never really looked at much. But he's one of the main reasons why I came to Iowa State. Thinking of all the stuff that he did at Iowa State and he did in the pros, and there's Big Vic, Victor Alexander.
Man, yes, I absolutely love Victor Alexander.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to say him.
It was Big Vic. Not taking anything away from Kelvin Cato or anything like that. It's just, you got to understand. I came in at a time where I know I wasn't a high flyer or a shot blocker like Kelvin. Victor was a big guy, and so they played me more at the 4 or the 5 or whatever. So trying to learn the different things that, traditional big men did in college at that time. I always, wanted to watch old videos and stuff from him and the things that he did. And, he was in the pros while I was in college. So, just understanding and then knowing that I had the opportunity to follow in the footsteps of guys like that, it was really big to me. So, yeah, that's my 5. I like I said, I don't want to be biased to where I put myself on that team. So you can put me as a 6th man or whatever. But we're gonna go with Jamal, Fred. We're gonna go with George, Royce, and Big Vic at the 5.
I have a hard time complaining about that lineup at all. I was really, really hoping you were going to say Vic. As much as I agree, as much as Kelvin was a lot of fun to watch, just
Yeah.
Victor Alexander is one of those players that made me fall in love with Iowa State basketball. Just a big burly guy with just the softest
Yeah.
touch. That
Yeah.
that was so
Absolutely.
much fun, and then to be able to see him have a pro career that lasted, you know, quite a bit. I mean, he was still playing in the NBA in like 2000, 2001 when
Yeah.
you got to the league. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, boy, he was a lot of fun to watch.
My first
Absolutely.
memories, my first vague memories of Iowa State are Hornacek and Grayer. I mean, I knew of them and who they were. I didn't really watch a lot of basketball. Couldn't watch a lot of Iowa State basketball at that time in Iowa. I mean, it just wasn't on. But Victor Alexander was one of the first guys that I remember watching a lot of when it was on TV, and I'll never forget the final game of his career, and Johnny Orr finally let loose on the refs after the final game test press conference. And I can't, I'll sum it up, but it was basically they beat the shit out of this guy for 4 years, and you guys never called shit on him for him. Because and that guy, nobody got fouled more than Victor Alexander.
did Johnny get kicked out of the game for that, or was the game?
No, this
over?
was at a post-game press conference. I'm pretty sure he got, he probably got right along with that time that he told Dickie V that he was an asshole on national TV.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely amazing.
yeah. Johnny is certainly one of those coaches that did not hold back by any means, but
Ton of energy. He had a ton of energy.
but you also played for a coach who did not hold back his emotions
Which one?
whatsoever. Well, two of them really. That's true.
Look,
That's true. You played for two.
Tim Floyd looked like he was in a piss off mood every single time he was on TV. I don't think I ever saw that guy smile.
he used to walk in practice, and we used to start practice. Get practice going with the assistant coaches and all that. We got a lot of it going. And he used to just literally just walk in practice when we used to practice at the Forkin building, and just walk around the whole court and just stop and then turn around and walk the other way and just look at us and cut his eye. And Steve used to say, "What the hell is wrong with him?" And we just used to sit there and look at him, and he used to say nothing. And then he'd stop and he'd chew on his Nicorette gum. He'd take that one and spit it out and then get another one, put it in his mouth, and then he'd just start walking around the court again. And I was like, man, I don't know what's going on with it. We just know it's about to be a practice. And then once he finally started saying something, whatever, it's just all downhill from there. And we just got ready for it and try to survive it.
So as you watch this team and you see this style of play, which definitely, as to Chris's point, does kind of remind me of some of those Tim Floyd teams. But you see the type of coach that TJ is doing, and first of all, like what he's done with this team is unreal. I know we talk about it a lot on here, but I don't think we could say enough what an unreal job he's done in a single season to take this team from where they were to where they are right now. But what do you see in his style of coaching you think that resonates so much with these kids?
Well, he learned a lot from like the coaches that we talked about beforehand. And you have to be able to guard. Like at this point, there's no tomorrow where, okay, we tried to do this offensively and we try to make that happen defensively and we don't have that identity. So, okay, we can get it corrected the next game or the next week or things like that. We got time to turn around and change. Right now, we don't have time to do any of that. You have to have that identity, and guys have bought into that identity of understanding that, if we have 41 or 51 points, as long as they have less points than us, then you win. If I score one basket and nobody else scores and we keep them from scoring the rest of the game, guess who wins? Because if you don't have that defensive presence and you don't have that identity, then, you see the teams that you didn't expect to go home early, go home. And that's not the way He has approached it. He's gotten the guys to buy into, this system and this way of winning, and it's produced wins, and now we're in the Sweet 16.
You mentioned that they're buying in. I think a testament to that is they're at the end of the Big 12. Trey Jackson and Tristan Enaruna didn't see the floor for almost 3 or 4 games, and I think there's a good example of on social media. Everybody and their mother has an opinion. That they're buried. What they do wrong? Why aren't they seeing playing time? I can't believe that he's not playing him. And then boom, you see Trey and Tristan playing major minutes in the first and second round, and they're embracing that role. And it's one of those deals where I think it's a closed door. Those guys and that team are close. They know what their roles are. They're buying into it, and they're tuning out the noise.
Well, the biggest thing is us as athletes and people in general. When you look yourself in the mirror, what's really going on. Where you've been slacking off, where you hadn't been doing your best, and that when it's time to get back into practice and to show, okay, I'm trying to correct it, I've corrected that. That time is going to come where they call on you, call your name, you got to go out there and perform. Don't make a mistake at all that any of the stars that we had or anything like that, or the All-Americans and all of that stuff with Eustachy, that if you wasn't doing what we supposed to have been doing defensively, you weren't gonna get pulled out of that game. One of my guys, Jamal Tinsley, didn't want to play defense, but that we feel in practice or anything like that. But he had to be on the floor doing what he had to do. And when he got first team all defensive Big 12, Larry Eustachy was so mad it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I mean, he was so once that first team came in, when the Big 12 awards came around and he was first team all defense, oh my God, he was so upset because he knew how hard he had to be on him to make him play defense. And Mel got long arms, he got a lot of steals, but I mean, he made it work for him, and he knew that that's what he had to do to be successful when we get on the basketball floor. And once guys buy into it, it's a lot of fun because that success comes from it. You learn and you figure out the way to be productive, and the rest is history from there.
Switching gears a little bit, I wanted to talk about the women as well, because boy, what a great time to be a Cyclone here, that we've got both teams in it and doing well. Unfortunately for us Cyclone fans, we had these teams overlapping, so you couldn't watch both games at the same time unless you had 2 TVs going with them. But boy, you can't talk enough, I don't think, about the job that Coach Fennelly has done as well. And I think sometimes that's getting lost this season. And the amazing job that TJ has done is A, just how consistent Coach Fennelly is, but B, what he's done with this group of women has been really exciting all season long.
Absolutely. The consistency that he's always had there. Honestly, like he made me want to help our team be better, because we knew, our women's team were good. Stacey Freeze and the rest of those ladies were there, and they were balling out. And my last year, I said, there's no way they're going to get to the Big 12 and win the Big 12 conference and win the Big 12 championship title and everything like that, and we're not getting there also. So they put the pressure on me. They put the pressure on us. And that's just a testament to what he's done there and all the years that he's been there. To see them playing extremely well, to knock off a lot of big teams. Again, for the women as well, the Big 12 is tough. So to see them play and to have success is always a great thing. And just like you said, Tim, right now everything is overlapping. And when games are on, I watch. We have Hulu Live Sports, so we watching it on the TV, and then we got the iPad down or we got the laptop open, And my wife said, "You got everything running." That's how I got to be right now. So that's just how it is. And to be able to see them have success as well, it's like you said, it's a great time to be a Cyclone. 2 in the in the Sweet 16. That's big time.
Only 3 other programs right now that have done it, and the women are going to be there for a while. They got that trio of sophomores. Diao is a transfer. She's a sophomore. And Aubrey could come back for a COVID year if she wants. So they've got a good core to build on there for quite a while. And with Baylor being down, and I think the Big 12 is wide open now at this point for the women.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting times. And like we said, he always prepared them extremely well and extremely hard. He's always had some great players. He puts in the game plan to have a lot of success, and they're a lot of fun to watch. Absolutely, a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I saw a photo. Sorry, Tim. I saw a photo floating around yesterday on social media of Coach Eustachy and Coach Fennelly standing together watching practice, and I swear to God they had the same black mock turtleneck on.
Oh my God! It's on Twitter. I got to see that.
I gotta find it. Yeah, they were standing right next to each other. I swear to God they had the same black. It's almost like they shopped at the same store.
I gotta see that.
You almost wonder if Coach Fennelly was doing a little troll job there. I think that's.
I know. Did you see that photo, Tim?
It's pretty good. No, I love it.
You guys got to send me that if you find it.
No, what I was gonna say is, watching what Ashley Jones has done in her career, what she's done in the tournament, that first round game, I think she had like 35 and 15 or something like that. It's been amazing. I don't know. I mean, you talked about some of the great players that were around when you were there, and some of those names like Stacey Freeze, whose legend still looms large in the locker rooms, I'm sure. But to see what she's done with her career, really exciting to see her as a senior be able to go to a Sweet 16 and play as well as she has. But it's been fun to have a player like that, but then to Chris's point, to still have all this other talent that's younger, and to know that this just feels like it's just as much of a springboard for continued success.
Yeah, without a doubt. That gives players like that gives the next, generation of players that's coming up the hope and aspirations, and seeing that, this is a place where has been up and coming for the last 15, 20 years. I love people running to people in the streets, and even with the football teams, and say, "Yeah, you guys are doing good up there," because at one time we were like, Kansas of the Big 12 in football. So to see people recognizing Iowa State in the sports and everything like that, with the men and women basketball programs and other programs in sports, it's a great thing to feel. That it's a sense of pride of understanding that you're gonna go to a place where a lot of people don't give you the chance to win, and then once you have that success, it feels that much greater.
Yeah, you guys had a good run of success there when you were there. Iowa State athletics as a whole did. I mean, you guys were going to Elite Eights. The women were good. The football team was making bowl games and so on. And I feel like Iowa State athletics is getting back to that now with what we've got going on in all sports as well. It's certainly on the trajectory back up.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the facilities have gotten better, so that definitely helps. That definitely helps with the sports programs. But those are the things that attract top level players and things like that. Don't make people want to come. Even they call us transfer you for so long, where guys are transferred to Iowa State and they have great success because of the fact of the teams and the coaches get you to buy into a system. You have success. You see how tough and the conference and everything is, and once you buy into that system and you have that success, the rest is history of what you can be there. So to be able to fight through all the adversity, the cold weather and the snow and everything like that, and make it to the Sweet 16. Who you telling? I've been away from for the last 12, 13 years.
Getting soft out there in Vegas.
Oh, totally soft. Totally soft. It's 8 p.m. and it's only a mere 73 degrees right now. Got the windows down and everything is grand.
I'd hate to hang up on you right now.
How's your bracket doing, Marcus?
I didn't do a bracket this year. I just, just wanted to sit back, and maybe that's why I'm enjoying it so much. Maybe that's why I'm enjoying it so much. I didn't do a bracket. I just literally sat down and said, well, I want to really enjoy the tournament and watch these games. Hadn't really had no surprises. I hadn't really had any surprises. I've watched the talent that's been on the floor, and figured, this team or that team have a chance of doing this and that. Of course, I'm going to pull for Iowa State to have the upsets that they had, but I called Miami was going to beat Auburn. Because it's the NCAA tournament where you don't, like we said, you don't have a lot of time to prepare, and you have a lot of teams that are hungry. The TCU games against Arizona was down to the wire, and to see Big Eddie working out down low and having the game of his life, it was it was good to see a young fella being able to have those type of moments. It gave me chills to just lay back and watch. And my wife said, do you know him? I don't personally know him, but of course I know him from the Big 12 and playing for TCU. But to be able to see that, the enjoyment of what's going on in the tournament, it's been a lot of fun. And I just didn't. I don't know if I didn't choose to sit down to make a bracket, or I just said, I'm just not going to do a bracket this year.
Be honest though. You're always rooting against Michigan State in the tournament, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's always going to be two teams in the tournament that I'm going to root against. That's definitely Iowa, and that's definitely Michigan State, without a doubt. So they both just happen to be in the Big Ten. It really has nothing to do against the Big Ten or whatever, but those two teams, absolutely, I get the most enjoyment out of them not winning. And it's nothing personal. It's nothing personal, but it's everything personal.
That was one of the questions Amy on Twitter asked. What teams do you still hate after all these years?
Oh, it's definitely. They're probably 1 and 1A. I'm not going to say 1 and 2. They're definitely 1 and 1A.
So as you spent all season long beating up on each other in conference play, and then you go to a tournament and you've got a bunch of other teams, Big 12 had 6 teams in it this year. Does it feel a little weird to then go ahead and turn around and root for those teams that you were just playing against all season long?
Not for me, because I understand, iron sharpens iron, and when you playing against each other in the tournament, it's that camaraderie right then and there. But ultimately, you want us to, because the more teams we get in, the more success we have, the more notoriety and bigger the conference get and better the conference get. So even like now, when I'm watching Marcus Jr., gonna ask me, you going for TCU? I'm like, absolutely. Like, well, you didn't go to TCU, but no, that's, a team in our conference. And I'm going for Texas Tech, and I'm going for Texas, and I'm going for Kansas because, we're in a different tournament. Now, if we happen to run into each other in the tournament, then there's going to be a different story, just like we will be going against them in the Big 12. But as long as they're going against somebody else, absolutely, I'm rooting for them 100%. 100%.
You're a better man than I am. I can't ever root for Kansas.
If I ever see you root for Iowa, then that's when we're gonna have the problem.
I have friends that are Iowa. No, I don't root for them, but I'm indifferent. We'll just put it that way.
I the same way. One of my personal managers, when I went to the NBA, who worked for my agent, her brother, Mike Henry, played at University of Iowa. And, they're like family. So we're like Iowa State against Iowa, and we back and forth banter all day long, and that would never change. You know, B.J. Armstrong when he was with the Bulls, same exact way. You know, I hated Iowa and he hated Iowa State. That's just the way it is.
No, I did like what you said about, still watching, going against, and having that camaraderie. One of the neat moments in this tournament to me was that first game against when Hunter had one of those big dagger threes at the end of the game. I don't remember who on LSU, but he turned around and patted him on the butt. Like even he couldn't be mad about how amazing that shot was and had to respect such an amazing play. I thought that was some really amazing sportsmanship because it was a dagger three and it was at a critical point of that game. I don't know if anyone else caught that, but I was really impressed by that one.
Yeah, I saw that. Once he raised up and shot, I said, "Ooh, that's a big shot." And when it went in, and me and my wife looked at each other and said, "Yeah, that's a big shot." I mean, because watching the games and stuff like that, the young fella, Mwani Wilkerson, he's from here in Vegas, played at Bishop Gorman. So, we've played against him in our high schools for the last 4 years. So we personally know him. And of course, Shaq's son, Sharif O'Neal, down there at LSU. So it's kind of like you run into that situation where you know people personally, but at the same time, now you're that enemy where you have to go against them. In the Big 12, my best friend from high school, Bernard King, played at Texas A&M. And, we're talking about, two guys who, spend the night over each other's house and, our families are families. We're from the same area in Louisiana, but he went to Texas A&M and I went to Iowa State. And once we faced each other in the Big 12, that stopped during that game, but we can root for each other when we're not playing against each other. So to see, camaraderie like that, to see him shoot that shot, and that was a big time shot for him to shoot, and have the confidence to shoot it and make it and knock it down. And, that kind of camaraderie and that kind of sportsmanship goes a long way to me.
I was today years old when I found out that Marcus and Bernard King were best friends in high school.
Oh yeah, that's my guy. We don't even his first name is Victor. We don't even call him Bernard. We call him Vic. Yeah, that's my guy. We've been knowing each other we played the same AAU basketball team. He's 2 years younger than me. He was on our 16 and 17 and under team. He was the only kid that was 13 and 14 years old. He was that good, that young, and for him to go to the Big 12, and then he broke my freshman records and all that different stuff. He loves giving me hell about that to this day.
I had a question from a listener that wanted to know if you're looking back 20 years ago, what specific part of that final game do you think is forever etched in your memory?
That foul that was called on Paul Shirley, without a doubt, that was a momentum changer for us. It was one of those, let the air out of the balloon type thing. It was one of those things of knowing we're facing Michigan State in Detroit, and probably the only time where I felt like not in control. Like I said, not to cast aspersions or anything like that, or say the referees cheated or anything like that. But one of the things that like bothers me the most is when I am cheated or I feel cheated, because I don't cheat myself. Like if I can't look myself in the mirror and say to myself, that you're cheating yourself or you're not cheating yourself, in situations like that, it bothers me. And that's probably the only time in that tournament where I feel like we're not in control, or where we don't have that grasp of control. Feel like well, this may be a situation where we're not going to be able to recover from, and the rest is history.
I'm sure that moment is etched in Coach Eustachy's mind as well.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But
I mean, the whole reaction of Coach Eustachy, for us, that was normal. You know, you don't know the half. That's not berserk at all. But you know, it way I control it. That's just with fiery nature and the way he coached and the way he approached it and his key to detail. But you know, the way he went off on the referees, I'm like, man, that's nothing. That's standard for us in practice. As you turn over the ball, that's Larry right there. That's him right there. So to us, it was, you know, that was just coaching to us, but we totally understood, you know, him doing that and for the team and everything like that, because it just was an egregious act at that time.
Talked a lot about the past. Let's talk a little bit about the future and how are your boys doing?
Marcus Jr.?
Yep, both.
Oh, he's doing well. He's doing well. He's you know, looking forward to this season. You know, he had a solid season last year. Could have done a lot better than ultimately that he did. He finished, you know, second team All State this year and everything like that. Just, you know, getting acclimated to being a better basketball player. He's on par of the course of how I want him to be. Never too high, never too low. He does a lot of great things, but he has a lot of stuff to work on. There was actually even a showcase game tonight at Bishop Gorman High School, one of the little Pangos showcase games, and he said, you know, I don't want to play in it tonight. I just want to, you know, go work out and train and, you know, get better. You know, he needs to get a lot stronger. Right now, if I can get him to about 205, like I say, he's a little 6'5". He can handle it. He can shoot it. His IQ is through the roof. You know, they call him the Swiss Army knife out here, or the Joker of all trades. He does so many things well on the court. He plays defense extremely well, but he's just missing that little piece of grit and that he needs to have. Me and my wife, his mom, talks about it all the time. You know, a lot of people don't know Mom played 3 years at Southern University in basketball. She was more of an athlete than I ever. She ran track in high school and still hold records in the state of Illinois. Is just supreme athletes. And we tell them, man, you hadn't even tapped into what's inside you, the genes that you have inside of you. And I think this is the last thing that is definitely going to help him, you know, propel him to the next level. And, you know, we're excited to see what's going to happen this last year.
Remind me again, how old is he?
He's 18 this year.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going into a senior year. So this is his last year.
Well, that's got to be exciting.
It's extremely exciting. Definitely exciting. Letting them understand that, you know, at that age, he's way more talented than I was. Couple of inches taller, so, you know, I can do more things in terms of, you know, blocking shots and running and dunking and stuff like that. But he can get off the ground pretty well and everything and all of that. I just need to, you know, get him a lot stronger, get his foot speed a lot faster. We think more than none, they're just these kids are just lazy, you know, and they want to go at a smooth and cool pace. Because like I said, as fast as his mom, you know, is and was in high school and in college, you know, and I wasn't slow of foot myself either. You know, he just has to want to do it. Kids now, they think they're going to get tired, or, you know, I don't want to burn myself out. Or one of the things they yell, you know, maybe I'm going to catch a cramp. So you will never know if you're going to catch a cramp or not if you don't run fast enough to see if you're going to catch a cramp. So just get them to buy into, you know, the situations and understand once you do it, you know, it can happen, and just continue to build off of that success that you've had. So it was big for me to see him say that, you know, I'm not going to go in the showcase thing tonight. He understands that, you know, a lot of that is brand building and a platform building for others, you know, and stuff like that. You know, try to get him to understand that where we at now and the NIL deals and all that crazy stuff that's going on. It's a different time than it was before. So working on your own personal craft, getting that better is more important. Getting to the next level than what's going on for someone else's brand right now. So we definitely gotta get ready to hit the gym in a little bit as well.
If speaking of NIL, if NIL was around in your playing days, what product would you have wanted to endorse or put Marcus Fizer's name on?
I have no idea. I would have known for a fact that Iowa State would have gotten that forfeit out of me. I literally, without a doubt. The reason for me leaving, my parents' house burned down. My parents' house burned down, caught fire and burned down, and there wasn't no cell phones and anything like that. So it wasn't easy for family and other people to get to me or let me know any kind of information. So the house caught a fire and burned down in February, and they didn't let me know until the season was over. My parents had to move into an apartment, and we're living in an apartment, and I had no idea about it. And so once we lost out of the tournament, I was just sitting down on the couch, and I was talking to my dad on the phone, and that's when he broke the news and told me everything that had happened. And so I called Coach Eustachy and talked to him about it, and we just made the ultimate decision that it was the right time to go. But how these NIL deals are crazy right now, I definitely would have won that fourth year, and it makes it easier for guys to make that decision, because whatever kind, it can be $100,000 deal or $500,000 or $1 million deal or whatever it is more than you normally would be making as a student athlete, which had been nothing. So anything that could have helped that situation, because I definitely wanted to go with the team that we had, coming back, I definitely would have stuck around for that fourth year. But in terms of what to endorse, I think I would have wanted to have an endorsement with Cadillac, because that's when the Escalades were just coming out. But definitely an Escalade or something like that, and wherever else would have came down the pipeline.
No, I like that. I think one of the things, you mentioned it's helping some of these guys make some of these decisions. I think one of the things that the NBA has always struggled with is, the G League has never quite become that farm system that you get out of, like, say, baseball. Baseball has an excellent farm system. People get drafted, they go into the farm system, they come up through the farm system. You're seeing some of these kids that are coming from high school, and they're skipping college, and they're going to the G League as their route to get into the NBA. But mostly it's a place to store guys that are rehabbing or are putting these guys on two-way contracts, things like that. And then you've got a bunch of, you've got players like Curtis Stinson, who was the G League MVP and never sniffed a minute of NBA action. And so it's not really become that. And college for so many has kind of been that farm system. And so it seemed to me that if you're going to have college be the unofficial farm system of the NBA, you got to find some way to get these guys some money to make some of that make sense.
And I agree. I knew when that was the G League Ignite team that something was going to come around with the collegiate students being able to make an earning off their likeness. And it just all depends, on the player and the situation that's for him. I coached a guy last year, was on Marcus Jr.'s team, Jaden Hardy, who's on the G League Ignite, and he's definitely a bona fide first round draft pick. And I think, I'm not sure, wasn't in the process with the decision to go to the G League or possibly go to college, but I think they kind of jumped the gun a little quick on it, because that was around the time where it really coming down to was it going to happen or not. So I think if he would have went to college, he would have made as much as he's making in G League in that situation. But, maybe that situation with being with the pros or preparing them more for the NBA than, maybe they figured the college route would have done. But for me, college was extremely fun. We were kids learning and understanding how to become men. I don't know how the situation with the NIL are doing for the guys now, but I definitely understand and know that it's definitely helping them out and their families. Now that presents the opportunity for, if parents wants to move to that same city that the kid is going to school in, it makes it easier for them to be able to do that. A lot of times, like my parents couldn't leave their jobs to come to Iowa State, to come to Ames, do anything like that while I was going to school there. And if that would have been available, $1 million, NIL deal, then, my mom and dad and my brothers and sisters would have had no problem being able to move up there with us, and things would have been a lot easier.
Off the basketball court, you've talked a lot about how much you had fun in college or whatever. Somebody messaged me and said that when I told him you were going to, they said Fizer was a class act off the court. He was just down the hall from me in Larch and would hang out with non-athletes all the time and would even come to floor meetings. So I got to ask, what's some of your fun memories from off the court, just being a student and hanging out with people and being in college?
Well, just being a normal kid. One of the things that I always done at Iowa State, that I guess you say the aura of who Marcus Fizer was bigger than what Marcus Fizer thought about during the time that I was there. I was just a normal kid. I rode bikes around the campus. I got on the side ride like everyone else. Was upset if the side ride was gone before I got to the bus stop like everyone else. So when those things that was going on, just meeting people, going to the different things, I wanted to be a normal college student, but understood that we had practice, we had study hall, we had all this other stuff that took me away from being able to do that. So when I did see student meetings and stuff like that going on, I was popping my head in there like everyone else, because I knew I didn't have that many opportunities and that many times to be a part of that. But the one moment I remember the most of being a student athlete, I think I was in a biology class that I had later, and I got back to the large hall, and one of my good friends, Griff was, they had this newspaper of me shooting a free throw, and for whatever reason I didn't have a shirt on shooting a free throw. I think I was working out at the rec, and they gave me so much hell about it. And so I was gone. That I guess they planned when I had a late class or something like that, and I got off the elevator, and the whole hall was full of these photos taped up on the walls all the way the whole hallway. And I just remember getting off the elevator and just laughing my ass off. And I knew Griff room was at the last end of the hall. And I said, "Damn it, Griff." And I just can hear him laughing at the end of the hall, because I knew he was the corporate of it all. And, just being able to, once I stepped off the elevator, there was so many people on the floor anyways. I'm like, what is all these people doing up here? And I was like, I know exactly what it was. But to be able to laugh and go through situations like that, go to the room. Paris Corner was my roommate. We kept our door open. People come in, we laugh and just talk to people like, because we are normal people. We just were student athletes and having to be there to, play basketball as well. I'm sorry, guys. Did I lose you? Oh, no, there we go.
No, we're good. Actually, Marcus, I don't want to keep you a whole lot longer. We should probably be wrapping this thing up here in a bit. But Chris, did we have any other questions that we got in from any listeners that we wanted to?
We hit them all, and it was really nice that people threw out some questions. People were very excited to hear your perspective on the basketball team and just to catch up with you, Marcus.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys know I always got a busy schedule because of everything that's going on. We got 4 children in there in 4 different schools, so we're all across the valley. moving and shaking, doing a lot of different things. But Chris, you got my information. Anytime you reach out, send a text, and we communicate back and forth, and we can lock everything down. I definitely have no problem. Being a normal guy, normal old guy, talking with the guys about the sports and being a Cyclone. Like you said, it's a very exciting time to be a Cyclone right now. I'm jittery and antsy about what's going to happen this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it.
At least it's not going to be a late game for you. It's 9:00 here.
Oh yeah,
Past my
yeah,
bedtime.
I love that, and that's what I like about the West Coast as well, because the games that come on early, and even once the late games, I think the last games of last week ended like at 9:30 here, and so you can get the kids ready for bed and everything and like that, and still get a good night's sleep. And so it's always fun to be able to, even the NBA games and stuff like that. Like the games start early for us, and you can watch it through the rest of the night.
Yeah, I don't know that game on Sunday could have started at noon, and I still don't know that I would have gotten a good night's sleep. I was just so wired after that thing. Cool. I'm not going to put you on the spot here and ask you any predictions, but any other thoughts here for the upcoming game this weekend?
What no predictions, like mentally, I never have that. I'm not superstitious at all. I just, I feel really good about certain games, and some games I don't. Even with Marcus Jr.'s team this last year, every game that I felt like we were going to lose, we lost, and every game that I felt like we were going to win, we won. Even they went into Chicago and beat the powerhouse Simeon High School that had lost only one game at the time when they went up there at the beginning of February and won. So I just always have this inkling inside that try not to focus on making a prediction. People always ask me that, and I just said we're gonna see what happens, and I'm just looking forward to a good, strong game. I think it's going to be something big, for them to be in Chicago. I know the point guard, Charlie Morris from Chicago as well. So it's going to be a big game for him being back home, being in front of his home fans, being able to have that opportunity. But, I'm excited. And, man, yeah, of course I live tweet, just doing the whole game. Sometimes it be frustration. Sometimes it just be, off the wall stuff that I'm thinking at the time. But I gotta get that frustration and everything out. But man, for these guys to make it to the Elite Eight and further on, man, I'm gonna be tweeting all night. Very excited. Very
you
excited.
And me both, Marcus. You and me both. It wouldn't be a podcast without Keaton coming over my shoulder and saying hi. So,
hello, how are you?
Hi.
Nice to meet you. You all right?
What?
I say, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
She's wearing the logo of the good logo, She's got to wear it.
Absolutely. That's the one right there. Hey, whose jersey is that behind you, Chris?
That's JJ Moses.
JJ?
Yep.
Nice.
A buddy of mine had it and said, you know what, you have a much cooler basement than I do, so you're welcome to have it. So I put it up. I gotta get a case for it.
That's
my basketball
guy, JJ.
section is not very good. I don't have a lot of basketball stuff down here, Mark. So.
Well, we're gonna have to work on that. I got a lot of stuff back home in Louisiana, but I don't have much out here in Vegas. As people ask me all the time, because I came out here in 2013 when I was still playing. I had some workouts for some NBA teams, and literally, I just never left. My wife and kids came out in the summertime. My wife said, we can live anywhere. Let's, she thought about moving to Vegas sometime, in years before. Let's at least try this place for a year. And 10 years later, we're still out here. Like, we didn't bring nothing. We didn't bring cars or nothing.
75 degrees in March. I can't imagine why you don't want to leave.
Can't imagine that at all. And no mosquitoes. That's biggest thing for me. No mosquitoes. We very seldomly see flies, but no mosquitoes, and that's lovely. Sorry, guys.
Mark, we appreciate it. We appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
And being so gracious with your time and giving us the time, and thank you very much.
For sure, guys. Anytime you need me, let me know. You know how to reach me. Tim, Chris, go Cyclones, baby.
Go Cyclones.
Go Cyclones.
You guys have a good one.
Yep,
All right.
you too.
All right.
Bye.
Well, Tim, I'll make a prediction. We're going to kick Miami's ass this weekend.
I love it. It should be a really interesting matchup. It really should. You know, I just love the fact that with this team, the way they play defense, even when they're not shooting well, you can't count them out of any game. And you know, if they do get a hot hand, if you know, Hunter or someone has another 7 of 10 from 3-point range type of night, then Miami just better watch out because
I'm telling you, this team outside of the Big 12 conference, guys seem to step up. I mean, you look at the non-conference schedule before. I mean, there'd be times that Kuntz went off and Kalsher went off when they were in New York, and you know, of course, Brockington has been solid all year. And now after the tournament, in this tournament, Hunter had a great game. Kalsher stepped up again and performed well. I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah,
We certainly have the best draw. I think we certainly have the best draw as far as the brackets go left. I mean, Kansas, we certainly have shown that we can play with Kansas. We can certainly, according to KenPom, should win this game against Miami. And Providence is you know, I don't know that much about them, but I mean, who knows? It's a pretty good draw, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think it's become a lot more favorable than when I first looked at it, but it should be a fun one no matter what. I'm sure you and I, like Marcus, will be live tweeting the game, so people can go ahead and check us out there. Speaking of, go ahead and find Marcus at Real Marcus Fizer on Twitter. You can find me at Tim Johnson MN. You can find Chris at Side Grad Side Dad. You can find us at Strength_old. What am I missing, Chris?
Make sure you follow Tailgate Society at TGS, right?
T-Gate Society, I think. I should have that off the top of my head. And what is Revelton? Boy, I'm not prepared for this. I'm not going to lie.
And we recorded a lot later than we normally do. Tailgate Society at T-Gate Society, and Revelton is, I'm fast on my feet, at Revelton DC. Make sure you follow them. They had a good turnout for their St. Patrick's Day last weekend. Rob posted a little video on Facebook 1 year ago today. They started their bourbon process. So I then commented and said, so you're saying I'll be able to drink your bourbon in a year? So it's 1 year countdown till they have their bourbon ready. Super excited for that. So we're good.
Excellent. To go. Excellent. Well, great. Chris, any last thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
No, man, I'm super excited for this weekend. Whatever happens, we're playing with house money at this point.
Absolutely. Like I said, just getting to the tournament was already great. Everything else was gravy, and boy, this gravy is delicious. So I will take it. Well, once again, listeners, you have spent time with Chris and I on Old Man Strength with our special guest, Marcus Fizer. Want to thank him. Please go ahead and check out our sponsors. Please check out the website, and we will see you guys next time.
I don't want to get on the bandwagon. I'll burn that wagon down and join the band. Traveling troubadours, terrorizing street corners just to try to get some supper in our hands. Now I waited all my life to get this off my chest, scream bloody murder until someone understands that it ain't about the money, the drugs, or the women. I make this noise just because I can. And we'll all join in to that original sin.